Hello, YouTubers. Just getting ready to tell you another poetic tale of horror and creepiness. Oh no, not again. Will you pardon me for just 1 second? Dang it! Dang rats. Next time, stay in the walls! Isn't it frustrating how peace and quiet can suddenly slip right through your fingers? Kind of like the old man in tonight's tale, who will go to any lengths necessary to ensure that his peace and quiet remains undisturbed. I call this tale from the quiet zone. Let me use your phone.
Deep in a wood, happy and content inside his caravan, lived an isolated, cranky, and self-conceited old man. He appreciated his silence to a ridiculous degree, living a life which he described as peace and harmony. Friends, relatives, and acquaintances he had none. Claimed they were a waste of time when all said and done. All visitors he kicked off the premises with a steel toe-cap boot. Any intruders, he had a 2-cylinder shotgun ready and loaded to shoot. All his food and water he picked up from natural sources. He preferred the good old flame from costly gas and electrical resources. He did not share any of his wealth he had collected over the years. Such was the life of this man of cold soul and dry tears. One rainy day, while reading a book in the blackest of night, there was a knocking at the door that gave him a fright. He put his book down to see who would be calling, only to find, to his disappointment, a young girl, lost and bawling. She asked politely to the man if she could use his phone, so she could get a ride that would take her home, for she was lost and soaking from the heavy downfall. But the man was attentive to her pleas and pitiful call. He slammed the door in her face without so much as uttering a word, as if he could be taken in by the voice of a stranger he'd never even heard. She knocked again, this time more vicious and louder. It caused such a noise that the man found it difficult to ignore her. He got his shotgun from the cupboard and swung open the door. But instead of firing a shot, he looked into the blackness with awe. Such strangeness was left embedded on his cold face, for the young lady was gone, disappeared without a trace. Reluctantly, he went outside into the pouring rain. He wanted to make sure she wouldn't show up again. He checked up and down all 6 corners of the van, only to return inside as a wet, shivering, and confused old man. Rubbing a towel over his head, feeling slightly lightheaded, he got out of his wet clothes and went to bed, all fears embedded. He listened to the sound of the rain trickling against the window. Lightning started to come down, creating a fascinating light show. Then there came that same familiar knock that occurred before. Annoyed, he took his shotgun and aimed it at the door. The knocking intensified the more he waited, and eventually, with a push of his finger, the door was decimated. The noise had ceased once more, as he stood there staring at the non-existent door. He went to look out to see if she was dead, but again all he got was a feeling of dread. Then the lightning revealed a message etched on the window screen that pushed him away from the window with a very loud scream. The message was short as he sat on the floor, frightened and alone, reading it with heavy breaths. Let me use your phone. At first he thought it all a hallucination, developed by the many long years of isolation. Then a loud scrape could be heard like a very loud snore, as it got ever closer and closer towards the non-existent door. He called out for the interference to cease, so that he could go to bed happily and in peace. But his pleas of sanity disappeared through the gale, as he saw a wet and pruned figure sliding up the handrail. The fear coursed through his body as he looked down in distress. His old heart was pumping faster and faster like a giant press. Failing to shoot, he tried to scream, but he just could not speak. His endurance to the situation had now reached its peak. He could barely see what was there coming towards him. All he could see was a shadow without a features so grim. In his dying breath he accepted the plague request, his beating heart skipping many a beat in his cold chest. By morning, the man was lying on the floor dead, his eyes wide open with that constant feeling of dread. A little note was now resting on his lifeless chest that read, "Thank you for letting me use your phone, and have a nice rest."
Well, given enough persuasion, you can make anybody do anything. And it's not like she left without saying thank you. In fact, she gave him exactly what he wanted. Dead silence. So until next time, YouTubers, keep in mind what people mean by silent as the grave. No true word spoken. It came to that point that the dog had enough, reminiscing on all the good times before. Now everything was drastically different. Time to boot the cat permanently out the front door.